Tere is outselling once again on the performance aspect, and I don't necessarily mean like outselling the other members, okay? But like himself, like. Howdy, Meowers.
Howdy, Meowers.
Hi, Devin.
Hi.
Karmin.
Karmin, of course. I remembered your name. Karmin. I was thinking before we started this episode, I was thinking, okay, Devin, today you're not going to make the intro awkward because you always make it awkward and it probably turns people away because they don't understand that it's like kind of intentional that it's awkward. So this time you're already going to know the host's name ahead of time because it's that we've talked about this topic before. And so you're not going to make it awkward and you're just going to move forward and everything's going to be fine. And then what happened?
Now look at it.
But hello, Karmin, and hello, Meowers. Today, yes, that's right. You're like, Karmin, wait, Karmin? She's back because we're talking about ZEROBASEONE. I almost said Boys Planet.
You might think this is a ZEROBASEONE podcast, but in fact it's actually a K-pop podcast, but we've done so many episodes revolving around ZEROBASEONE that you might be a little confused, but just know that we do talk about more than ZB1. But today we're continuing off, and we talked about Camp ZEROBASEONE episode 1 already, but now we're here to talk about and sort of share our reactions, thoughts on Camp ZEROBASEONE episodes 2 and 3, which is their like reality / variety show that was on Mnet. And we're also going to be reacting to their debut, their album, and the other content that we've seen since the last episode when we talked about ZB1. Because now they have actually debuted.
Woo! Also, please ignore any background noises you may hear this episode. I don't know if they'll be picked up, but I would just feel weird not acknowledging it. So if there are any background noises, just ignore it, like don't pull your headphones off and be all confused. Oh, was that in real life or was that in the podcast? Just ignore it, okay?
Okay. Well, we're going to start off by continuing the episode 2 through 3 Camp ZEROBASEONE trail that we left open. I don't know. I literally don't know. We're gonna just talk about Camp ZEROBASEONE first, okay? So if you want to hear about their debut and the album and stuff like that, you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, wait. Not skip
Please.
Forward, just wait and listen to this part also.
You have to listen to this part because you're gonna miss all the context for everything, and you're gonna be so far behind and miss out on all the fun.
Yeah, you're gonna be completely lost. Fear of missing out is gonna be you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what did you think, to just jump right in finally, about the whole haunted school thing? Because that's kind of where the first episode left us off on, and they like just teased us with the whole haunted school thing.
Yeah, okay, so we've seen this concept done before, right? You get a couple of people, you throw them into an abandoned school in the middle of the night, and you put some actors in there, right? We've all seen it, and we all know that apparently everyone is absolutely deathly afraid of people pretending to be ghosts. Now, I think that they, like, on the one hand, the way that they chose to divide up the teams, and, obviously everyone, spoilers, we will be talking about the things that happened. I think the way that they divided up the teams was, in a way, bad, because it was so a certain thing. But at the same time, like, it was very strategic and or intentional, I feel like. Like, I get it. They had the team that was super scared. Then they had the team that was not really scared at all. And then they had the team that was like jokesters. And so I feel like it kind of made for an odd.
And then they had the team that didn't understand. Really.
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about them because they just skipped their part like almost completely.
Yeah.
They didn't even show them. I just feel like I kind of feel like I would have rather have seen balanced teams.
Yeah.
So then each group maybe would have had more content to show, even because like each group could have had someone that was maybe a little bit scared, or each group could have had someone that was doing a good job. So we could have actually seen the content from each group a little bit more evenly.
Yeah.
But instead, I feel like they just really covered a couple of the groups that were like the way you would want people to react in this situation. And then the other people just kind of like, it was like, okay, yeah, and they did it too. So those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, my thoughts were, to be honest, kind of like lackluster haunted house sort of content, haunted school content. It was no Running Man scary episode, that's for sure. And also like the the coloring was so bad, it was hard to watch.
They did not set those cameras up properly.
Yeah. Like, I guess it's like, I'm glad they included it, even though it kind of seemed like they could have just not included that part, seeing as it didn't really turn out. But, more content, I guess. Just, it was kind of lackluster. So, and like for all the hype, they left the episode off on that. Like, sure, the first team that was really scared didn't disappoint, but like you said, because it wasn't balanced, it was kind of like the rest of the teams weren't as interesting to watch go through it.
Yeah.
But something that I did enjoy watching the whole time they included the entire trial of it was the balloon game.
Oh, the balloon game. That was really hyped.
Yeah. So, do you want to explain shortly how, like, that worked?
So, basically, if you remember, I think we talked about it last time, that they have been being presented with tasks to earn roses. And the roses will get them more seats filled at their debut showcase.
They're a little, like, I think pre-debut fan
not
meeting.
Showcase. Yeah. And so they've been, they're trying to earn these roses, and so sometimes the staff will present to them like another challenge. Do you want to try this challenge? You can earn roses to do it. And so they were presented with one with a balloon, and they accepted. Now, this challenge was that they were outside, sort of like in like a playground sort of area. Like there was a wide open like dirt ground space, but there was a playground nearby. They had to stand all like in a line, one after the other, holding a balloon in between each of them, like with their torsos. So like sandwiched in between every person was a balloon, and they were all sandwiched together in one big line. And they had to walk throughout a winding path, like that was taped onto the ground. And along the way there were some extra roses that they had to like maybe reach to grab or bend down to grab, but they couldn't, lose any of the balloons, pop any of the balloons or anything like that. And obviously they can't hold the balloons with their hands, so they just have to like carefully walk in a line while not disturbing their balloons and get these roses.
Yeah. And they only had one chance, except they practiced a little bit at the beginning, but we saw the whole start to finish, like from the beginning of the path to the end, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I've never really seen, like, I've seen similar content of trying to like not drop something. I've probably seen it with balloons, but I've never seen it done like that before.
Yeah,
with the like the fan or the reaching at the playground part. That was pretty, like you said, how did they even know like that it would be reachable there?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I thought that was fun.
Yeah, they had to like all collectively be able to move their bodies so that they could like lean forward and there was the one part where we thought that they were gonna have to jump, and it was like, that's insane. But thankfully Gyubin was tall enough. And then the fan part at the end, I was like, oh my god, you've got to be kidding me, they're making them walk past a fan, this is crazy. It was really a well thought out little challenge, I think.
Yeah, and Gyubin actually did really good as the lead.
I was just gonna say, because I just remembered it. I thought, wow, like Gyubin, I feel like it would be really difficult to be the first person, because if you're any of the people behind someone, then you sort of have that person ahead of you to just like brace yourself against. Like you would only step if they step forward, and like if you don't, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the first person could just like walk forward, and they just have to trust that everyone behind them is going to stay going. Like they don't have anything to like stop themselves. So, but he did a perfect job, because they did it, they made it to the end. So yeah, I was like, wow, I can't believe Gyubin did such a good job, because I haven't really seen much from him yet.
Yeah, and it was funny how Zhang Hao kept like screaming or whatever, and they were all scared. So yeah, that was the balloon thing, which was funny. Another thing I thought was like funny, but I didn't really think the whole part of it was funny, because some of the things that they made them try to do, like the dandelion thing, that was just ridiculous and never gonna happen.
Yeah.
But the paragliding, like the fact that they suddenly presented them with a rose mission in the sky was funny.
Yeah.
So, a word or like a group, a topic that is going to come up a lot. It has already when I've talked about ZeroBaseOne in the past, is 101. Okay, I'm going to have to reference 101 a lot when I'm talking about ZeroBaseOne, because I just see so many similarities, and that, like, the whole situation with how they were formed is a group that I knew about that is obviously formed in like the same way as ZB1. So in Camp ZeroBaseOne, I liked how we got a little bit of the 101 Go vibes when they did like the different farming tasks, and that whole thing was like, it gave us that classic feel.
Yeah, I would absolutely hate to be on the, what was it, apricots, peaches.
Yeah,
what is
it?
Tangerines.
It was, I don't remember.
Nectarines. I don't know. I would have hated to be on that team with the bugs. That was horrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that part too. Really, brings you back to Ha Sung-moon and his grandpa.
I love a good bit of biking content. So they went and biked around Jeju.
She really does love biking content.
Yes. Thankfully, those fans were just actors, because if they weren't, oh man,
that part was like, I was seriously like gonna be so upset if they were real fans, like, and that was the situation that happened, but the fact that it was like the Mnet or whoever makes this show, like, put it in the show, like, whether or not an incident like that were to have happened, but then for them to put it in the show, I was like, that is not cool, because that is so going to encourage people to interrupt them during filming, to go up close to them and stuff like that, and that's not acceptable. But yeah, so thankfully it was fake. And then later, when there was some fan interaction, they didn't get close to them and their faces were blurred. So I was like, okay, that makes it a little bit more like, people won't be like, ooh, I can just walk up to ZB1 while they're filming and get in their show.
Yeah. Not to dampen the mood for a moment, but I feel like it should be brought up. It seems that there are a lot of new, like, people that are new to K-pop in general getting into K-pop because of ZB1. And just, even if they aren't new to K-pop, it seems like a lot of people interested in this group are exhibiting behaviors that are just really unacceptable. And so I hope that it's not a pattern, and it really needs to get under control, because it has the potential to get like really bad. And like, people need to learn etiquette
in more ways than one, but yes, people do need to learn K-pop fan respect.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we know that they had camping cars, but they ended up driving the camping cars to like an accommodation for one of the episodes, one of the nights, and that was like a really different housing accommodation from anywhere I've seen anyone stay, like in general, especially idols on variety or reality shows. It didn't even look real. Like, it looked like some sort of fantasy house. And
not in the way that the one in that NCT Dream show.
Yeah, not like that.
Yeah, no, it looked like it would have been in like a book as like illustrations.
Yeah.
But not like a fantasy book, but a book.
Yeah. And when they were like, even when they're like, even the entrance is different, like, and it was.
Yeah, it was. I never would have expected a house on Jeju to look like that.
Yeah. If I was staying, I said this when we were watching it, but if I was staying at a place with a pool like that and I found out that I couldn't use it because it was too cold, I would be extremely disappointed. So, come on, Jeju house, why don't you have a heated outdoor pool or something? I don't know. I would have been sad. And also it was like funny but weird how they all totally just, maybe they got up and moved somewhere else later, but it doesn't seem like it. Seems like they all kind of just decided to sleep in the living room on like the floor when they were like so many beds. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, I think they did sleep there. At least
like it looked like a
good
class
chunk
trip.
of them did, because it showed them waking up and they were still there.
Yeah.
So
like it was like that one Boys Planet episode or a field trip in a K-drama.
I think it was partly like they had said like, oh, we can't sleep tonight, like there's no way, because like the house had too much to offer. I think probably part of it was just like no one ever like retired to their room because it was like they would waste their time. But I'm like, I feel like the room was part of the experience, but at the same time I was also like, how could anyone relax or sleep in this house, because the colors are so unbelievably like bright/deep.
They had a little bit of a cooking battle. How did you feel about that?
Well, I thought, like, maybe this is a bit rude, but I thought it would be better than it was. Like, when I saw and heard that there was going to be a cooking competition, I was like, oh, cooking competition, like, that's going to be so fun. But it was kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it just, like, we didn't get to see very much of the, like, I feel like the content we got from it was kind of random and not very cooking competition-y.
I totally agree.
Like, I like that they each had a specific item that they had to cook with, and then they each just, like, made a dish, and it was very freeform like that. It wasn't like, cook this recipe. It was like, here is one ingredient, and you all have to, like, figure out something to cook, like, each team. I thought that was really nice because I feel like usually when I see idols doing cooking things, it's more guided than that. They don't just get to think of something up in their mind and try and make it. So I like that aspect of it, but it was kind of just like, it showed the people with like really close-up shots, just like, you know, throwing some stuff together and like, you know, show some of their like banter and, you know, what they're talking about, but it didn't really get like, the cooking vibes I feel like weren't there.
Yeah, I get, like, I totally get what you're saying. I feel like they just didn't really show it very well.
Yeah.
Like, you could see members adding ingredients in the background or, like, going to the ingredient shelf and picking stuff out, but, like, they weren't being focused on. I kind of don't really know what was being focused on. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering what I got from that segment, even though I was looking forward to it too.
Yeah, and it was like somewhere, it was like 10 to 20 minutes long. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't
like,
just like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it must have been just like focused on the members and not focused on like the cooking or competition aspect. Like, I was really looking forward to Sock Matthews' fries, and I saw him at the beginning cut them, like chop some pieces, and then I saw them at the end being done, and I was like, hello, like, I didn't get to see any of that.
Yeah. But generally, I like when, like, the staff is included. And I, like, they did that, like, sort of thing a lot. Was it in, like, maybe the second episode when they had the mission to actually get to Jeju and they had to not, like, break any of the items or whatever, or not let the shirt get wrinkled? Yeah, that was, like, interesting to, like, maybe if we bring that up for a minute, like, everybody had an item, like Zhang Hao got a noodle that wasn't supposed to break on a literal flight to Jeju, and
an uncooked noodle.
Yeah. And, like, the fact that Yujin was able to make that shirt be passable enough, like, wrinkle-free enough for the staff to accept it as a pass was just incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy, because he straight up, like, basically crumpled the shirt by, like, flopping it over on itself on the hanger. Like, he basically abandoned trying to keep it unwrinkled with the, like, confidence that later it would become unwrinkled with the humidity and wind.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big risk. And who was it? Somebody had some the paper they gave Sock Matthew. Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? I thought it just had to not be ripped, but they immediately were like, nope, because it was, like, too crinkled. I'm like, that would. So yeah, that one, that it was also a very unique little challenge that I think they did. I've never seen something like that before, and I think it had a good mixture of things that, you know, were accomplishable, but they didn't make it too easy, like some of them. And people had really good ideas to keep some of the things safe, but it just didn't work. Like, Sock Matthew put the paper in the book, and Zhang Hao put the noodle in a straw.
Yeah.
And so they had, like, you know, they were, like, thinking of how to do it to protect the items, but it didn't work. But, like, other things, they did succeed. So it's like they didn't fail with everything, but they didn't succeed with anything. Therefore, pretty good, pretty balanced, I think.
Yeah. We saw the results of the cooking battle teams. Like, the winning cooking battle team got to decide the next day's activities for the other two losing teams, and they got to, like, make the teams. So we saw those teams do each of their little activities or, like, you know, work on the next day. And the Haenyang mission with, like, the women divers, that was pretty hilarious. I probably wouldn't have even attempted my mission because I would have been too embarrassed, but they were seriously trying to accomplish their missions, which I respect.
I was so surprised that I don't know, like, I guess in general, old people in these shows tend to, you know, do, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, they're gung-ho about it, you know? They're good at being part of the show. But I was still pretty surprised, especially when at the start, that old lady that was just sitting on the rocks and wasn't, like, scuba diving was, like, her demeanor was the way that it was. I thought, oh, she's not really very, like, gonna be very, like, fun or very into the, like, you know, show aspect. But it turned out she was, and the other ladies were as well. But also they were, like, good at their scuba diving job. So I think they picked really good people for that. And the llama one, honestly, was probably kind of throwaway. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. I straight up know they're alpacas. I'm sorry, I just wasn't thinking. But yeah, the alpaca part was kind of throwaway a little bit, I feel like. Like, it
I feel like we didn't get
much
much from that, except Ricky being, like, trying to be excluded by the staff. Like,
yeah, they totally tried to discriminate against him, and then he showed them.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have any other comments that I can, like, remember about Camp ZEROBASEONE, except for the fact that staff bringing out the Chom 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 was a move. Like, they knew what they were doing. They knew how to get those, like, the members to lose that mission. They're like, what game can we make these people play that is, like, the most just based on chance that we can think of?
Yeah, and they were gonna only give them left and right. I'm like, that's ridiculous. And they said everyone has to succeed one chance. I'm like, the probability of that is so incredibly low. Yeah, that was crazy. The people that did the go-karts, I just would say, because like we didn't mention their day activity, they were talking about how those go-karts seemed like extra fast and or powerful. And I think, yeah, like they seemed really like they were like boosted go-karts. Yeah. So that was crazy. I would have been like Ganuk. Like I would have not been able to just speed because those things looked like they went like fast.
Well, since we don't really have anything else to say about Camp ZeroBaseOne, that means it's time to move on to the actual ZeroBaseOne debut. So overall, I really did enjoy the show. Some of the things were kind of like misses, but some of the things I think they executed really well. Like I'm saying, the creation of the show, like by the staff. You know, like the cooking competition is like they kind of edited it weird. The haunted house, I feel like maybe it was a little bit weird, but then those other games were really good. So yeah, I liked it. The debut, however, that's a different story. No. Why don't you start with the debut? You made me so nervous for a second. I was like, really? Okay, I actually, now it's probably not like super surprising because I really like that style, but I think the debut is overall pretty strong. Like, not just because they're hyped and it's like a hyped group, but I think that right from when I heard the highlight medley, I was like, wow, it sounds like they're actually gonna have good music. And so I'd say overall, yeah, I like the album and I like the performances, well, like the choreography I think is good. But let's start with the music video, and that is something I didn't really like very much. So let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, so disclaimer time. Much like someone can say that they really love fashion and they really love talking about fashion, but they particularly really like, I don't know, like goth style, and they just in general happen to really dislike preppy style. You know, that doesn't mean they can't still like and enjoy talking about fashion, right?
Right.
So similar to that would be me and K-pop, okay? I like to talk about K-pop and I like to take in like all the different things that are going on with K-pop. I may have a specific style or couple of styles that I really like, and then I may have some that I just in general don't like, and that's okay. Okay, I don't have to like everything in order to be able to talk about it. So please keep that in mind. This ZB1 music video and concept is just not something that I really care about. It's not a concept that I necessarily super dislike, but I just don't really care about it. And the music video, the song,
their title track is called In Bloom, by the way.
Yes, so In Bloom, did you say they said it specifically is
sampling is it's coming from
Take On Me.
Right.
So I like that song. That's a vibe.
Yeah.
80s vibe.
Mm-hmm. So good.
This song I definitely hear, you know, the part that is like Take On Me, and it sounds like that, and that's great. I think in general, overall, I would like the song a lot more if it just went straight to that Take On Me chorus part and didn't have the like change part before it. That part of the song is the part that bothers me and or ruins it for me a little bit. It doesn't make me hate the song, but it makes me not like, I can't get hyped for it because they do that like drop thing where it's like, okay, we're gonna go into the chorus. Wait, let's drop everything down, and then we're gonna go into the chorus. And I don't really usually like songs that are like that. So the song, it's like, yeah, kind of a bop, but at the same time, that one part is like, oh, it stops it. The music video, I thought, was poorly done.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why they're like shaking and wobbling in the scenes that are supposed to be like frozen. I believe it was intentional, but I don't understand why. And or I feel like it wasn't a good enough reason for them to have done it anyway. You know how sometimes people will be like, oh, well, we're doing it this way because of this. Like, it's supposed to signify this.
Yeah.
And then someone might say, oh, well, what if that doesn't really translate? What if people don't really get it and they just think it's wobbly and weird? I think that was where the people should have been like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, it is happening that way. Like, I think it didn't translate well enough. If there was a point to it being like that, it makes it just look like a cheaply made music video that didn't really... I just didn't get the music video as a whole. I didn't get the vibe. I didn't get the story. It seemed like it was done by not as talented of people as normally would make music videos. I know that sounds so mean to the people that made the music video, but I'm just saying, like, overall, it didn't translate for me.
Well, I have to agree because I don't like the music video either. It's just like the very basic print, and therefore like unoriginal. Yeah, I said it. They were trying to work the little concept in that they had going with that teaser trailer video thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of just got lost with the whole rest of the basic print. Like, the set seemed really like messy, and just I'm generally never a fan of the music videos that really just look like a set.
Yeah.
And so it always just, it seems like, oh, we need a music video, so we're gonna go with this style. And so, like, I get what they were trying to do with the little, you know, the story thing, but it just seemed like the camera work and the angles were kind of like weird, and like the cuts were a little bit strange. But overall, I would say that I'm glad that the music video has that lighter vibe that I like. But it's no energetic. If I said I'm gonna keep referencing 101,
yeah,
like, it just doesn't give that vibe. It seems like a music video not for their debut title track. It seems like when like groups release a music video for like a side project, like a video game, or like, you know, a children's
or even
show,
like a
or
Japanese version of their song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just so
actually those are usually pretty hyped.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on the music video because I didn't really care for it.
I didn't like their styling in it either. And I only mention that because I was then looking forward, well, like their main like white shirt outfit styling. And I only mentioned that because I looked forward to, okay, maybe their styling when they perform it on stage will be better, and I didn't like it there either. And then jumping forward a little bit, I thought, maybe I'll like their styling in the Studio Choom better, and I didn't like it there either. So I think in general for the In Bloom song, I'm not going to like the styling.
I think that the styling needs some work.
Oh, wow.
Like,
I thought, you know, I didn't like it because I don't like that style.
Well, you know, I'm all for the frills and like the collar action that's going on with those white shirts. But overall, it's like, if they were going to do that vibe, I like it to be more.
All the way.
Like,
yeah,
do something with the hair, the eye makeup, like glitter somewhere. I don't know. That seems like a glitter vibe of shirt, not a jean vibe of shirt.
Yep.
So
what really bothers me, I hate those shirts in general, but like surprisingly what really bothers me with this is the jeans, because yeah, if they at least went all the way with the outfit and styling, with that style that I don't like, I would be able to just say I don't like that style. But those sort of tops with those jeans is not just that I don't like the style, it's like I don't like, it's bad styling to me. Those two things do not go together. It's giving DKZ Universe with the school blazers on top and then the combat boots, like, untied on the bottom that just seemed, like, odd. Like, they were trying to mishmash two different things together and they didn't, like, fully accomplish that. So yeah, every time I see them with the jeans on and the white blouses, I think, what are you doing? Like, I get that you're trying to stick with the blue and white thing, but I feel like they could have done it differently. Like, thank God they didn't have, like, horrifying hairstyles or anything. You know, it wasn't like it was that, but still, it's a disappointment to me. I don't get the jeans with the blouses.
Yeah, but I think it would be good to note that when we're recording this episode right now that you're listening to, we only are going off of, like, the stuff from the day after their debut. We saw the, Mnet comeback special thing yesterday and those performances, so we haven't had a chance to see them, and we saw, like, the studio tune that was released today, but we haven't had a chance to see any of the other music show performances yet. Their promotions didn't really start, so we don't know what the styling is going to be like. Anything we're about to say about these, like, we're going to talk about their performances from that Mnet comeback special, we've only seen those, like, from Mnet, so that's all that we're going off of so far. We don't know what it's going to be like later.
Yeah, where it's just the initial pool of content that we're talking about. Maybe they will switch up the styling and stuff like that, or like what we're going to talk about with the stages. I can definitely see something that could be different in the coming stages that they wouldn't have had in these ones that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, so to talk about the comeback show, they performed 5 songs, I believe. Back to ZeroBaseOne was one of the songs that they performed, and it's the first song on the album, and the album has 6 songs. So Back to ZeroBaseOne was one of the ones that they had a live audience for, and to just get right into it, I'm really glad that the audience was there for it, and I would go so far as to say the word love for this one. Like, yes, right up my alley in terms of music.
I don't say that about it.
No.
I didn't hate it. I did not hate any of their songs. Let's get that out of the way right now.
You listened to all of them?
I've listened to all the songs more than once. I made sure to listen to every single one at least 2 times.
Yes, I've heard them all more than once as well.
And so for anyone that's going to say in the comments, like, do you hate them or anything like that? None of the songs I hated, okay? I did not hate any singular song. My goodness. But back to Zero Base. Well, first of all, can I just talk about overall something about the album? Like, because it's kind of, it's a blanket thing to say. I overall, the songs, the genre of the songs was not my vibe.
Oh, opposite here.
So, like, it's just in general going to be a little bit, it's like me saying that I liked all the songs on, like, the Monsta X album or something, because it's like overall the sound is probably going to be more my vibe. So there's a better chance for me to like the songs. This is not my vibe, so there's a better chance for me to dislike the songs. But I think I didn't even dislike any of the songs. I, at worst, was indifferent to the songs and or thought that they were a little bit, like, silly. And so, yeah, this first one, I would just say that I was indifferent towards it. I definitely recognize the vocal ability that they have throughout the album. Yeah, like, I didn't think that anything seemed like they weren't talented. That's another thing. So I think they're talented. It's just not really my style. And this song specifically, it's going to come down to the lyrics for a lot of these songs. This one specifically just them continually saying,
repetitive.
Is it real?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Is it real? Like, you tell me. I don't even know what you're talking about. All I know is that you just keep asking me, is it real? Is it real? And I'm like, just stop. So yeah, I don't like the song for like enjoyment purposes because of that aspect. Like, it's just too repetitive and too like silly to me. Like, I just want to laugh at them continuing to ask me if it's real. But I don't think the song sounds bad or anything. Like,
okay.
you know?
Yeah.
So not really my style, and they just keep repeating, is it real? But like, I get that it's a good song in general. They just,
Like,
maybe if they just switched one of those is it reals to like a different phrase even, so that didn't say the same thing over and over, I would have liked it better maybe.
I think that overall it has a cool vibe, and like watching them perform it, even though they're just standing there on the little lifts, like they go up and down a few times and just stand there and sing. And you know what? That's a vibe of its own. And like the water background, yes, good choice. So yeah, overall, I really liked that one. I do want to mention that it reminds me again of Wanna One. It kind of reminds me of the Nothing Without You intro, which I really like that Wanna One intro, and I always wished it was a full song. And so this song from ZeroBaseOne is like the first song on the album, like I said, but it's kind of like not technically listed as an intro. It's kind of longer than an intro song, so that's good.
Speaking of them all just standing there, I kind of thought Gyubin looked a little bit lost throughout the performance. Like, he was kind of like they just said, stand here. And so he was like you, if you watch his face, especially right at the start when they like open up the it's not curtains, or is it a curtain? I don't know. They like, you know, reveal the boys there. I think he didn't have his like face on yet to be like ready.
I thought Ricky at the end.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say at the end when they're standing there, Gyubin kind of looks like he's just like, okay, like I'm standing here. But yeah, I think, yeah, I said everything.
Okay. Well, the next song, or like another song that they did on that comeback show, was New Kids on the Block. Now, this one is not the title track, but I'm going to just say right now, it very well could have been, in my opinion.
The only reason I would think that it wouldn't be is because I feel like it's the standout different one. And so, like, if that were the title track and then all of the other songs were the way that they are, like, overall, I think all the songs are very similar in sound and genre, but at the same time, I feel like that one would be, like, giving you an idea that the album had different songs on it, whereas In Bloom being the title track and then having those other songs, it's like you would predict that more, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I get that. That's a good observation.
Oh, wow, I'm smart, I did it.
I think that they had like great energy on this stage. If like when we talk about the In Bloom performance after, it'll be like a little different of an opinion with that one. But so I was like liking the energy for this one. I thought the choreography was actually pretty good for this song, and I do think it would have been better if they were doing that one with an audience, but they didn't because it like was recorded before the actual debut, so they didn't really perform all the new songs in front of the audience. But I like have a lot of stuff to say about each of these songs, but I don't want to like talk too much about the songs because one, I might want to talk about them later at a different point, and also like I'm trying to stay focused on the actual performance because we're talking about the comeback show and not the album. But I will say right now that the intro, the actual music at the beginning of this song really reminds me of X1 Flash, and also something else that I really can't think of what song it is, but like a K-pop song of some sort, I'm pretty sure. But like, why are we referencing like so similar beats to X1 Flash? That's a little bit weird. But yeah.
It's interesting that you said you liked the energy for this one, because I actually didn't think that they had very much energy. That's what bothered me about it, because otherwise I kind of thought it's kind of like low-key boppy of a song. Like, it's like not like super like, whoa, this is a bop. It's like low-key, but at the same time you're like, this is kind of a bop. But I thought that their energy was kind of lacking, and I felt like, similar to what you said, if they had done it with a live audience, I think it would have been a lot better. I kind of feel like maybe they're just so used to having a live audience because of Boys Planet that maybe they like don't, some groups are perfectly fine without having, especially new groups would be perfectly fine without having an audience, because they probably had so much time during COVID that they didn't even perform with an audience. But the Boys Planet boys, I feel like, are used to that. And so I don't know, I thought it was a little bit low energy. Like, maybe it's just because normally I feel like they were fighting for their lives on Boys Planet, and then this wasn't like that energy. So I don't know. I feel like if I see more of this one, I could like it. Like, this one was one of the better ones, although it is a little silly with the lyrics.
Yeah.
The New Kids on the Block, but
Yeah, when I first heard that, I was like, but by the end, I'm like, okay, like, sure. Still on New Kids on the Block, I'm going to say that I really enjoy Ricky's parts, and I think that's probably consistent throughout all of the songs.
Oh.
And that's something I'm surprised by. I didn't expect Ricky to be delivering like that, and I know maybe that sounds rude, but I just wasn't getting anything from, like, I didn't know what kind of vibe he was going to bring based off of his Boys Planet vibe. Sorry to bring Boys Planet up again if that's, like, we want to forget about that era and move on. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, I like Ricky's parts. And also, we've got to talk about the mini, like, dance break sort of solo Tere moment at the end of that song.
I don't know what you're talking about. Dance break.
It's not like a dance break, but like it kind of is. It's like a moment.
Well, I feel like if I recognized or noticed one thing across the board with Tere is that it seemed like he has a lot of presence.
Yeah,
like it feels like he's often there.
I think overall, Tere is like, he was like giving a lot on the performance aspect, which is good. But like, no, there's like this little moment near the end of New Kids on the Block, and everybody kind of goes off, like I don't know if they go completely off stage or just like off to the side for a minute, and it's like Terry coming down and he's like doing his little dance, and I'm like, yes, like, do the dance. Why didn't we get to why were the people on Boys Planet insulting him so much for his dancing? Like, don't do that.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Boys Planet boys.
the choreographers and stuff.
Oh,
like,
God.
the masters.
They just want clout.
There was also one other thing that I had to say about that song, or like that Mnet performance. And there's a Jiyoung part in the choreography after like the first chorus, when Jiyoung does his dance part. I think it's so good. Like, it's honestly very Younghoon-esque, like Younghoon from The Boys, if I do say. And I guess you'll only understand that if you've seen a lot of The Boys performances. I don't know if it's like one specific thing I'm thinking of or like multiple instances, but I just get those vibes, and so I really like that part. I know how that sounds. Jiyoung and Younghoon, first of all, might seem like a weird connection, and then Younghoon dancing might seem like a weird connection, but just if you get it, like, it just reminds me, okay?
Okay. I mean, that's perfectly possible. Like, well, first of all, it is reminding you. So I'm not trying to say it's possible that it's reminding you, but like, anything can remind anyone of anything. Like, and
very true.
I guess I'm not familiar. Like, I don't know the things. So it definitely sounds like it would be unique.
We're going to talk a little bit about Hot Summer because they did perform that on the comeback special. Now, this was a Boys Planet song that they decided to do as ZB1. How did you feel about that?
I suppose over time, Hot Summer has become more tolerable to me. I was always a Jelly Pop fan myself, not a Hot Summer fan. But it was fine. I mean, basically, the most positive thing I could say about it was I think I really felt like they were giving a much different energy and vibes, having the live audience there for that performance than like what I saw, for example, with New Kids on the Block. I just felt like with Hot Summer, and maybe it was also because they were more familiar with that song and more comfortable with it, but I just thought, okay, now they're really like performing when they're doing this one, versus New Kids on the Block seemed a little bit more like a little more lackluster for me in terms of performance energy.
Okay, so I will say about this Hot Summer performance, or like them performing Hot Summer as ZB1 in general, I'm going to reference two things that I'm pretty sure like the general fandom, public, community, I guess, is like probably a little bit bitter about. There's two things, and that's one, that they keep going with Hot Summer and not Jelly Pop, because everybody is like really a fan of Jelly Pop, but it's kind of at this point like, okay, clearly they're not doing Jelly Pop. But like, you know, maybe one day, but at this point I doubt it. But you know, we can kind of just remember Jelly Pop for what it was on Boys Planet and keep that performance with us and just move on to Hot Summer. But like, and you know, I never really had a problem with Hot Summer, but I did prefer Jelly Pop because it's more my vibe. But this is the other second thing I'm pretty sure a lot of people are bitter about, and so I'm like a little cautious to bring it up because I'm not getting at the members. I'm getting at like, I'm just questioning why they literally took Taere's iconic part and gave it to somebody else, when like, sure, everybody does a good job doing it, but like it's literally the most replayed part in the Hot Summer performance on like the Boys Planet finale. Really, and like they like I just don't know why they would switch that line like to somebody else.
Yeah, that if I were Taeray, I would probably be like, you know, I would understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time I would be like, but can't this just not happen, because it's kind of like, you know, my iconic thing. Like, don't mean to be egotistical, but like I feel like that's what I would feel like.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to In Bloom finally. The performance that they did, again, we've only seen this Mnet special performance of it, well, aside from the Studio Choom. So, what did you think about it?
I didn't like their outfits. They weren't wearing jeans this time. Or were they? No, I don't think they were wearing jeans. But I did not like those outfits either. And they put Sock Matthew in as the only person wearing shorts. And it always bothers me when they have one person doing like something that's slightly different and no one else. But so he's the only one wearing shorts. And then they put him as the only one wearing shorts in New Kids on the Block as well. And I just feel like they're being really mean to him because he doesn't want to be seen as the cute one anymore. And they're like, we're going to specifically put you in little shorts and nobody else. Well, okay, they were very big shorts, especially for New Kids on the Block. But I'm just saying, shorts youthify someone, you know? And so I feel like he probably wouldn't want that, but they're doing it anyway. In general, I feel like I just thought the same way that I felt about the song, like when I talked about it with the music video. This performance didn't really give me anything extra to go off of or say anything about. It was very just to me like, I watched it and I could just go on now with my life. Like, okay, yeah, sure, I saw that.
Okay, I think that to say something a little bit, you know, at first, but this is on Mnet, I'd say, it was a little lacking, but like, I usually always feel that with the Mnet comeback show things, their little comeback specials. It's just weird how they're never really doing it in front of anybody, and they've got this weird audio thing going on, and so they always just seem kind of empty, like no matter what group is doing that comeback special thing. It just seems that way. So I got that from In Bloom, unfortunately. And so it kind of threw the whole thing off. But I want to say that Taeray is outselling once again on the performance aspect, and I don't necessarily mean like outselling the other members, okay? But like himself, like you know, like he's really out there performing. And
I think we found her bias.
Do not assign a bias yet. I'm still not sure. But anyway, I want to point out that Hanbin. Now, this is going to be a comment, okay? Hanbin, he fits just really naturally as an idol. Like, watching him perform on those stages was like, I guess his performance experience is showing, because he looks like he's been like debuted for years. Like he seemed probably the most out of all of them to me, like he knew what he was doing. And when his parts came up, it wasn't like I was watching Hanbin, the contestant from Boys Planet, who's now in this group that was made from Boys Planet. It was kind of just like, I'm watching Hanbin the idol.
Okay.
So those were my thoughts. I kind of blame Mnet for everything, honestly.
Clip it.
Okay, and the last performance that they did was Say My Name. So this is another song that they adopted as ZB1 from Boys Planet, and I was offended at first.
Oh, wow.
Not when they like did it. Just for this comeback special, I was offended at first because I like realized they weren't dancing, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Why are they doing this to Say My Name? But like, no, the vibes were there, even with that arrangement. I honestly liked that arrangement. Like, maybe some people were like, what did you do with the real song? But I enjoyed it because I like that sound. And just overall, I like Say My Name, and I'm glad that they didn't retire it like they did with some of the other Boys Planet ones. You know, like Jelly Pop.
Oh, God. Now, people might be a little surprised by what I have to say here. Because I always sort of memed on Say My Name. I just think it's a bit, and it's supposed to be like cheesy, right? It's a bit of a cheesy vibe to a song. And, you know, I've heard it so many times now that I was finally starting to almost vibe with the cheesy choreography of the Say My Name, like little heart part. And overall, I still thought the song was kind of dumb, honestly. To be straightforward, I just kind of thought it was dumb. And the choreography I thought was dumb, but like it was like dumb in a way that I could sort of make fun of it and like enjoy it casually, not make fun of it as in like pick on it and berate it, but make fun of it as in like, oh God, Say My Name, like this song again. So I was having fun, you know? And so I get like what you're saying about like when I noticed that they weren't going to have the dance going on with it, I thought that's kind of weird because I feel like the dance is such a huge part of it. And like that's the part that I would kind of like to, you know, make fun of was the little dance part. But I thought that this version worked as well. Like I almost felt like maybe I liked it better without the dance and like this arrangement because it wasn't cheesy. Like it actually sounded kind of like good. I think they did a good job singing, you know, like vocally it sounded good. That's one thing I noticed about ZB1 through listening to all of these songs. I was like, oh my God, is this seriously a group where there are no tones? Like no one's voice is a voice that I don't like?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
like there's never any parts in any of the songs where I think that I don't like the vocal tones or I don't like the notes that they're hitting. And so often there'll be
big.
Yeah, so often there'll be like one person in the group where I'm like, okay, I didn't like that part. Because I'm just really picky with the vocal tones. But when I listen to these ZEROBASEONE songs, I never feel that way. I never think that. So even though they've been a little bit slower and a little bit more vocal heavy than I usually like for songs, the vocals have never been offensive. And yeah, so Say My Name, this version, I kind of feel like maybe overall I like it better as a song this way. And then the other way is like the kind of like more, it's a less serious version of the song. The Boys Planet version is the less serious version.
Okay, well, that's all for that, the comeback special. But let's just quickly go like overall. Do you have any comments about their like stage presence or their general performances?
I thought that they definitely seemed more skilled and talented than some groups can be at debut. And I think I prefer to see them performing with a live audience than without. I feel like they give more in their performances if there's people there than without them. And I think I've seen less of the like Boys Planet charming point facial expressions nowadays that I was talking about kind of bothered me in the past. So like that's a very good thing. You know, I feel less like they're trying to sell themselves to me. I do still see it a little bit, and more so with some members than others. You know, some of them haven't given up the facial expressions, and some of them never will because some idols just do that. But yeah, overall, over time, those sorts of vibes have lessened, and I think that is good for me personally.
Okay. I want to say a comment that might be like a little bit, I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm going to say it because like overall I think that they are doing good so far as a group. I think they're showing that they work well together, which is honestly kind of surprising because I feel like there were a lot of people that on the show we didn't really see performing together or really interacting, but it seems like they do meld well, like especially in the content like Camp ZEROBASEONE. But in the performances, well actually let me say that I watched the performances from the comeback special more than once, and on like the second time I didn't get this as much, so maybe like it was just me not being used to it yet the first time that I thought this, or maybe it's because on the second time I was used to it and so I didn't think it. I don't really know. But at least for the first time I watched it, it kind of seemed like each person was giving like different energy and like executing the moves with too much of their own style. So it kind of looked a little off sometimes, which that obviously can be a really good thing, like for each person to have like their own style. But with such a new group, it's like we don't really know their personal style enough yet to be like, oh, they're just adding their own flair to the choreography or whatever. But like, you know, like Jihyo from Twice or like Chinese Taemin, they have like, obviously Taemin has like an entire brand and style, and Jihyo always kind of elevates her performances when she's even on like a music show stage, but it's not like messing with the overall group very much. But I feel like each person, like you were talking about the charms or whatever, like I feel like they're kind of still in the Boys Planet mindset. So right. It's kind of like, okay, you're performing like a group now though, so you kind of don't have to worry about like your individual, you know, charms as much. Like obviously it's still important to do that kind of thing and, you know, perform as yourself I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying with like there were just some moments where it seemed like they were not going into the moves with the same concept in mind, like how to execute each move with what vibe they were going to go for.
Yeah, and in general, like, it could end up looking more like a group of people that came together to do a collaborative performance, and less like a group that is always together doing, you know, their own thing. I mean, maybe somebody does. But I would think that in general, people don't want to watch a group of individuals. They want to watch a group that, like, you watch them and you think that it looks like a group. It looks cohesive. So, yeah, I get that.
And, like, obviously it's the debut, and obviously they're, like, it's gonna get more cohesive with time. I know all those things, but that was my observation. So, like, kind of initial impression. But I do think it was still good for a debut. Like you said, there could have been a lot worse debuts. And overall, they seem to be working as a good team right now. To sort of quickly go through the Youth in the Shade album, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I did already say, as a whole, I think it has a very, like, cohesive sound. I think that the songs really do all seem to, like, go together, and that's just not necessarily a sound that I care about very much, but I think that they did a good job on all of the tracks. And so, to talk about the songs that I didn't mention anything about yet, and I was probably the most indifferent towards on the album. But once again, didn't hate it. There was nothing wrong with it. I was indifferent to it. Always, Zhang Hao's song, his solo song, I liked it when it picked up more and it was like doing like the always part. The beginning, you know, when it was just sort of like vocal vibes, I don't really care for that as much. So, you know, there was that. But once again, he did a good job. Our Season. This, I think, is my favorite song on the album.
Yes, that was a good
I really like that song. I thought it was really fun. Like, you know, I say that, but it's not like it's like a super fun song. But I really enjoyed listening to it. I thought, in terms of overall with the album, if the vocal sort of vibe of the songs and the lyric vibe of the songs I didn't really get or care about as much, the music side of the songs, like the beat, I did really find to like in a lot of the songs. So I found that interesting. And so the beat of this one I really liked, and basically really good song. Like, I was really liking it. And then at the very end, when they do the winter, spring, summer, fall part, I just think it's a little silly. Like, I get that it's called Our Season, but then they're like chanting at the end. They're like, winter, spring, summer, fall. And I'm like, what? Why? So, yeah, that would be my overall review of the album. Like, beats of the songs, really vibing with it. Lyrics and vocal, like, aspect, not really caring as much, but didn't hate it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it's really, really good. I enjoy it. I'm glad that I'm going to be able to listen to this album and it's not going to be like a bunch of skips. I'd say no skips. Really to my taste, really my vibe. I'm glad they went with the youthful and refreshing concept because that's the style that I prefer. It seems like they're bringing back that kind of vibe that, you know, maybe like 2015 to like maybe like 2018 K-pop boy groups were bringing, you know, like early, like, you know, energetic 101 vibes, early The Boys, early Golden Child, groups like that kind of have the refreshing concept. And, you know, like they're not making music that is really dark or powerful, at least not right now. So that was a like unique choice for debut. Huge relief Zhanghao got his solo. Like, wow. I do want to say that I think each song is reminiscent of another boy group, and actually, honestly, like, giving girl group vibes too with some of the songs, which is a good thing. Like, they just seem, though, like they could work for like other groups, so it's kind of like, what's the ZEROBASEONE vibe right now, I'm wondering. But I guess it's also kind of like, okay, so ZEROBASEONE is going to be a group like those other groups that release that type of music. Like, I don't really know. I'm curious to see if they're going to stay with that kind of vibe or change like each time. Oh, about that part I never said, but I like that part.
Oh.
Like, I
feel like most people probably would, or else they wouldn't have made the song that way. Like, I feel like most people probably must think it's a vibe.
Yeah, like, okay, going back to the In Bloom for a second, because I never talked about that. I like that part when it slows down, but I don't like how they do a stop moment in the music video. I feel like that got popular lately. Like, I know Twice Set Me Free. I only saw that music video. I honestly forgot about that song.
Me too.
But like, they do a huge stop in the music video, and it was like so uncalled for in my opinion. But honestly, maybe I'm remembering completely wrong because I barely seen it. But I just thought how they literally stopped the music at such like at the place that they did. It was so jarring and it seemed irrelevant, so it kind of threw me off. But I like how it slows down. At first, I was kind of weirded out how it slowed down before the chorus, so I get where you're coming from and how you cannot like that part. But I like the sound of it, so it works for me.
And my opinion might change at some point. I remember the first couple times I listened to Dum Dum by Pink, I was like, this song is so boring. I don't understand how I ever thought that, but I did.
Okay, back to the album real quick. I guess like I guess maybe I don't really have anything else to say. I just think, yeah, it was good. I'll probably talk more about it later. My favorite is possibly Our Season, like you said.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I really like Back to Zero Base, but it seems kind of like an intro, even though it's not technically. So it's kind of seems weird to say that would be my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Our Season, and like the Jaechon song title Flex, like not Flex, but like, you know, Jaechon has a song called Our Season, so I'm like, I see you. Now, the last bit of content that we're going to be focusing on today, just talking about our opinions on, or like, you know, kind of reacting in a way to, is just the other general ZB1 content that has been released so far, starting with the Studio Tune, which was released today. I'm going to start off by saying that I do like the In Bloom choreography. And at first, like, seeing the Mnet thing, I was kind of like, maybe the choreography is a little iffy. Or, like, you know, even seeing the, like, TikTok preview reels or whatever, I was like, maybe the choreography is kind of, like, I don't know. But, yeah, it's good because, I like the overall movement of the choreography. Like, I like when it kind of shifts from left to right. Maybe you have to watch it for it to make sense, but like there's a part with Gyubin and Yujin and they kind of like move, like it goes all the way from Yujin on the right to like Gyubin on the left. And so I think that part is cool. But I did notice that the choreography is different from the Mnet special, and Yujin doesn't do the move that he does in the Studio Tune, which is like the jump spin.
The twirl.
Yeah, he just doesn't. I was like, when I was watching the Studio Tune, I was like, oh, I love that. Like, that is so my vibe, and he does such a good job. But I'm like, why didn't I recognize it. So then I went back and I was like, he just straight up doesn't do that in the Mnet thing.
That's crazy, because when I saw the Studio Choom and I saw him do the twirl, I was like, what the heck? Like, how did I not notice him doing this before? I'm like, he does this kind of dancing?
I know.
But overall, I kind of just feel like I don't know anything about the choreography. Like, I've watched the Studio Choom, I watched the stage performance, but like, I guess it just didn't mean anything to me. Because nothing stands out to me besides I remember him doing that jump spin. And I thought, limb jimin.
Yeah, he would. And like, good. You know, I love that style. I like the choreography at the end too. I'm pretty sure it's Ganu and Hanbin, and they're kind of like in the center, but everybody is doing it, and it's kind of like this little twist shimmy sort of thing, and they're all like facing each other, and it makes me think of the Charlie Brown scene. Okay. For some reason, I don't really know why I get those vibes, but generally, I like when the members are facing each other during choreography, or like they're dancing in. Okay. I like when Twice, they do that.
Dance the Night Away?
Yes, I don't really remember. I can't think of that, except for like the part when they're like, you know, marching out, doing a little thing.
You know, when they hold hands and they're dancing.
Oh. That's not really what I was referring to. But like, sometimes that can work, I guess. Okay. Yeah. But there's another part that I generally like when choreography has, and Tere has a part like that in Bloom choreography, and that's when like one person is away from the group but sort of like facing the rest of the group, and the rest of the group is facing that one person, like Jongwon's part from 17 in Fast Pace. Oh, I love that choreography move. It's so cool. And so like Tere gets like a little moment. Oh, it's, yeah, those when people do that in choreography, I just really love it.
Okay,
so go watch 17 Fast Pace if you don't remember or know what I'm talking about.
I gotta watch in Bloom also.
Yeah. Okay, well, just some other things. I know you said you didn't see these other things, correct?
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the other content that I've seen of ZB1 because it's provided me with some more insight, like to their personalities, possibly some differences from Boys Planet, all that stuff that we were talking about in our previous ZEROBASEONE related episode. The K-Star Next Door show, I thought that was pretty funny overall. I really loved hearing their vocals finally getting showcased. I'm pretty sure everybody was like surprised and or like really appreciative of like that segment. It was separated into two groups. Like the members weren't all on the show at once. They cut it in half, like, you know, so there were two parts of the episodes and they like had two different groups for each episode, or you know, you understand if you've seen it. I can't explain it very well, but I really loved the songs that they chose to sing as well. However, I just didn't like the audio effect that was going on. I wish it wouldn't have had that weird effect because clearly they were singing well, so I don't really think it needed that thing going on. And I would have just liked to enjoy their performance, but I overall did enjoy the performance. Generally, it seemed like they were more relaxed, and I told you after I saw it that it seemed like they were finally stepping out of sort of the Boys Planet personas that some of them had going on, and they were even kind of like poking fun at their Boys Planet attitudes and like some of the things they did on the show. They were like, oh, why did I act like that, or like, why did I do that? So that was good. And then the other things that I saw, I only saw like some of the Amazing Saturday stuff because actually the real Amazing Saturday episode didn't come out yet. So I don't really have anything to say about that, but I will probably be tuning in, except it doesn't seem like he's gonna be in that episode, which, hello, dumb. Why not? The Elle magazine interview it wasn't really an interview. Like, I don't like calling things like that interviews because they were just holding up sticks with emojis on them. But that was like another chance
Elle
to
magazine content piece.
Yeah, that was another chance to kind of see the members being more relaxed and more in the group instead of in their own thing. The Tingle interview was a thing, a huge thing. It was a really long episode. I know somebody personally who refuses to watch a Tingle interview. I'm talking about Devin, even though I've always recommended them, but I get if you don't like ASMR, those wouldn't be your thing.
It makes me physically like want to be far away. From it when I hear it. Okay, like if the sound of the Tingle interview comes on, I'm like physically like wanting to like get away from it.
I generally like it, and so I watched the Han Bin Zhang Hao Tingle interview, and it was overall really good, and it was like actually them doing ASMR too was really good. I'm not just talking about like the content, I'm talking about everything was good, and it was very funny for a Tingle interview. They can get funny sometimes, but I was telling you about the staff member literally laughing so much during one of the segments, and that was just hilarious. So check that out if you don't have an aversion to the Tingle interviews. And then the last thing that I've seen recently is the content from their official YouTube channel that dropped. I don't remember what they're calling this segment, but there's going to be more than one episode, but there's only been one so far, and they're assigning like roles to each member. And so just from that, like, it was funny enough. It was good to see them doing like regular sort of variety challenges, like dance challenges, or like guess the song from like the short little 1 second blip type of thing. And so it definitely seems like the members are getting along so far. Maybe it's because it's like we've got 4 from the same company. Maybe it's because they're just finding it easy to work together. Maybe it's all just fake. Maybe it's all just me thinking that and it's really not. I don't know, but it seems like it seems less awkward than you might expect it to be for such a new group that was formed the way that it was.
Yeah. I feel like I personally am pretty good at being able to tell when members of a group don't like other members of a group. I know I know a lot of people think that doesn't exist. You know, a lot of people are like, they all love each other, they're all a family, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like I could think of a couple of groups off the top of my head where I think in general, all of the members of this group don't really like that one other member, but they're all nice enough people that they make it work. But in general, they're kind of like annoyed by the other person. I'm just saying, I know no one wants to hear it, so I won't mention names, I won't name names. And that's just, my little feeling about it. But I definitely don't get any vibes like that for anyone in ZEROBASEONE in general from the content I've been seeing. I could scrape something together if people wanted me to, but in general, I think that they're fine interacting with one another as of right now.
Yeah. So that's it. We finally we are back with a little bit of a longer episode on ZEROBASEONE, but that's because honestly they've been delivering a lot of content for a group that just debuted. And again, we didn't even get into the start actually of the promotion period. So wow, probably a lot more content on the way. If you watched Camp ZEROBASEONE, you can go ahead and leave a comment sharing some of your favorite moments from that. And you can share what you have been enjoying about their debut, like what you liked about the performances, anything. If you want to share some positivity about ZB1, hype them, you can go ahead and do that by leaving a comment.
I'd say overall, yeah, ZB1 seems to be like seems to be having a successful start to their time as a group without the thought of whether I like the concept or not. Like, I think they're doing a good job, and I'm interested to see what else they'll do. I'd say the thing that I find the most likable that I would get from them as a group so far is the content pieces.
I want to say, I forgot to mention this about like the actual music, but I'd say overall, once again, 101, but also very, very. Now, that was something I said back when I had only seen like the graphic design basically for ZB1. I was getting very, very vibes from that. So I'd say, yes, totally the sound is reminiscent of very, very, and the sound and general vibes, definitely reminiscent of 101. I will keep saying that. And I enjoyed 101 content, even if I wasn't necessarily like super, closely following them or all of the members, but I still generally enjoyed all of the ZeroBaseOne, not ZeroBaseOne, what was it called? 101 Go Zero Base. I enjoyed that, and just 101 Go in general was good too. So ZB1, we're going to keep looking out for. We're going to keep probably watching their content. At least I will be doing that probably until, if I don't want to anymore, I just will stop. But for now, I'm going to keep watching ZB1 content. They're breaking a lot of records. It's a huge thing, okay? Good for them. It's pretty wild, though. Like, it's pretty wild. And honestly, it's going to be a huge deal, and I know nobody wants to hear this, but it's gonna be a huge deal come disbandment day.
Whoa.
And honestly though, if it were only up to like week 1, I definitely see the potential of them to just stay as a group. Like, I feel like the demand would be so huge. It was probably like there. Like, I think it was there for all the groups so far that have been formed from these Mnet shows. But, I mean, judging how big they already are, I could definitely see people being like, please do not disband this group. But maybe it would be an issue with the other companies not wanting to, give up their people that have become so popular.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Like, I can't, like, if you're looking at, like, Weihua with 4 people in this group, are they really gonna agree to, like, I mean, maybe they could co-manage. Like, there's groups that have like more than one company managing them, so maybe if they really want to stay as a group, something like that will happen. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even think about all that.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, you can go ahead and like the video, and also subscribe to the BlushCat channel, and turn on the notifications on YouTube, and follow us wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Spotify, you can go ahead and follow the podcast there. And even if you're not, you can go over to our Spotify page and check out and heart/follow all of BlushCat's playlists. If you're not aware, I specially curate many different playlists. There's more on the way. I don't have very many up yet, but the summer mix and the summer night K-pop playlist both are out now, so you can go ahead and have K-pop summer vibes, day and night vibes. Go ahead, follow those, listen to those, enjoy those, respect those, please, and thank you. I appreciate it. You find new music. bop to all the songs that you already know and love. I'm sorry if your favorite summer song is not included. I do apologize.
I find that hard to believe.
I will be adding more songs.
Unless you're a huge Super Junior fan.
I will be adding more songs when I see fit. So go ahead. Links are in the description. Thank you for listening.
Oh, and before we go, just note, we have a new handle on Instagram. We are now at BlushCat Official.
Woo.
Just to like have it on record, because previous episodes we may have said something different. It is now that. It's still the same, still the same page and everything. If you were following, you're still following. But yeah, it is different now. So
yes,
yeah,
at BlushCat Official. And I don't really know if we're gonna actually use Threads, but we're at BlushCat Official on Threads as well, because it's the same, same deal going on there. But we haven't done anything with that yet. So thanks for checking that out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following. Stay meowing.
Meow meow.
This has been Karmin
and me. Bye.
Meow 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 meow.